everybody. Beautiful day here today. It's going to be 78 degrees. Perfect, right in the Goldilocks zone. So I've been going outside. I'm getting ready for dinner, although it's only early afternoon. It's not even 1 o'clock yet. But like I've said before, I don't like to make dinner in the evening. I like to make it during the day. So I went out and I harvested some kale. I harvested some Swiss chard, some cucumbers, one little tiny grape tomato, and what else? No, that was it for today. But anyway, I wanted to do a little fall garden tour. What worked, what didn't work, a couple of my plans for next year. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And another thing I wanted to talk about before I forget, I have a prescription that I had to call my doctor and get renewed. It's something I take as needed. And I just wanted to tell you guys that if you are on Medicare Part D, because they really don't pay for much of anything, check out blinkhealth.com. Really cheap compared to what you would normally pay. Or GoodRX is another good one. And I had a prescription. The doctor had to call it in because I ran out. And he sent it in for 30 days. And they Blink and GoodRx, they both will go through Walmart. He sent in a prescription for 30 days because I had totally run out. And they said that prescription through GoodRx would be $18 for 30 days. Then they said for 90 days, it would cost $21. So check out the amount and see if you can't save some money. But try and check out those two applications for getting your prescriptions a little bit cheaper, because they do work. Now, I find Blink has been the cheapest, but this time I couldn't go through Blink because it was a last minute thing. And the doctor has to send everything to Blink, and then you either go pick up your prescription at Walmart or they will mail it to you. And the last time it cost me for 90 days $16 through Blink. So Blink is a little bit cheaper than GoodRx, but they're both very good, and you can get much cheaper medications. So I wanted to tell you that. Another thing that I did, I grew some cucumbers. They're called not crazy eights, but something like that. And so I'm saving some of the seeds from that because they were nice, small cucumbers, long eights. That's what they called them, long eights. And so I'm saving some of the seeds from those cucumbers because I like them. And I don't want to buy new ones when I can get free seeds. So I marked them 2020. So I'll be planting those like around February or so. Then I also had a nice little mini pepper. I like the mini peppers because they're just enough for one meal. And I had a really nice red one. My peppers did not do well this year because they were planted too late because of the weather. And now that they're doing real well now, but it's kind of late in the season. So the red mini pepper, I also saved seeds from that. And also my pimentos, which I started as a plant, and I only got 3 of them, but I saved the seeds from all 3. So if you have plants that you like, save the seeds. So anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say right now. I'm going to give you a tour of my fall garden and what worked and what didn't work, and then I'll be back. Everybody, I just wanted to give you probably one last tour of my garden and what worked and what didn't. So anyway, this is a begonia I had that was working really well until somebody came along and stuck this thing in the middle. I haven't seen any eggs in there or anything, so I don't know what happened to the mama, but it kind of destroyed this. It's growing, but they're very leggy. So I would say that was a fail. I want to go over what worked and what didn't. So my fern over here is doing beautifully, but the ferns always do really well here on my deck. So I may try and save it. I'm not sure. Usually I don't because they're very messy in the house. And over here, these plants, the mint that I planted didn't really take off. This one happens to be a mint julep, and I think this soil is just always too wet because I have a tray under it. So I think next year I'm going to try and drill a couple holes in the tray so the soil doesn't remain quite as wet. The begonias are doing fine over here. The Coleus just is hanging in there, never really took off. This is a, I forget the name of it now, I'll put it up on the thing, but it's growing nicely, but it didn't get any flowers. There's not enough sun here. But I am going to dig this one up and try and overwinter it. I'll cut it way back and put it in my flower box in the front. This over here is my Citronella. It just got really, really leggy. And that's my fault because I should have cut it back. But I didn't, so I'm going to try and take some cuttings of that because I want to make a little room in the house for plants I want to overwinter and see if I can't plant next year so that I don't have such a big expense. So this is sort of, not epic, but they are growing. I never did finish my little water garden, so that's a chore for next year. Over here, it's the Coleus did really well, so it must like it over here. But again, this vine is the same as the other one, and it's getting really tall, but there's no flowers. So, and the Citronella over here just totally died out. So, probably not a good place for the Citronella. Now over here in this box, I still have some Citronella, but the begonias never really did much, and there was always a little critter digging in there, so I just put some mothballs in. The nasturtium totally died out, so this window box was a fail. It had some mint that came back, but not epically. Now over here, I'm going to try and take some cuttings of this fuchsia. This is actually, it was teeny tiny and it's growing very nicely. So I might take some cuttings to root and try and do that. This begonia over here is doing fine. I had another one over here that died out, but this clover, purple clover, is doing well, and you can also use that as a house plant, so I'm going to try and dig that up. Now over here, this apple mint just went crazy, and this came back from last year. I did not plant that this year, so I need to harvest this and dry it for some tea. And way back here I have some chocolate mint that is just very spindly, but well, I'll see if that comes back next year or not. And a teeny tiny begonia. So that's my deck. Over here I planted a different kind of mint, and it's doing okay, but next year I really have to trim the mint back because it just gets really leggy and ugly. The little begonias are okay. They're not epic either. And this I'm going to try to overwinter. It's another Citronella, and this one totally died out, and these were a couple of mints. Actually, I see a little bit of growth on there. But that was another apple mint, and This peppermint totally died, but the apple mint is still got a couple things coming up there. So here I have a bay laurel that I want to put in this pot and bring it in the house. I had one for several years, but it died out. It got some kind of a bug. And these I can use for cooking. And over here is it's either a lemon or a lime basil that I'll probably try and overwinter too. And this here, this got flooded out. It's just way too wet, so this is a clematis that I never got around to planting. So don't buy more than you can plant. I guess that's the theme. So over here I actually still have some pepper seedlings, believe it or not, and some tomatoes. Those are actually from last winter, and I'm going to put these in some fresh soil and see if I can't, rather than starting from seed, just, you know, see if I can't grow them in a window. We'll see what happens. And these tomatoes came from the store-bought. So those seem to be the most hardy. My impatiens finally took off. They were looking pretty sad there for a while, but they finally took off. They're doing well, so I would say those are winners. And they started doing better. Sorry about the plane. They started doing better after my tree came down, and they get a little bit more sun. So, and then I have more over here. So those did real well. So I'll be planting those again next year. I'm still working on getting some soil in these, and getting them ready for spring. I want to try and compost some things in these pots and see if I can't overwinter it and then maybe cover them with something. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. There's the most beautiful flowers in the garden. And here's my Chloe. They're all a little camera shy. Over here, I never did plant anything in here. Next year I'll be putting more impatiens in this. But over here I have a volunteer tomato, which is really looking nice, but the nights are kind of getting a little too cold for them to get red. I'm hoping they still will, but anyway, that was a volunteer. So, and then of course my tree, it's still up. I need to put some paint or something on there to shelter it a little bit, but it's really, really tall for a Bradford pear. I mean, it's way up there. I didn't think they got that tall, but this one did. And I've had that in here probably 18 years. So over here I have my kale plants, which absolutely went crazy. They were in this little greenhouse, so I need to cut all that back. But they do like cooler weather, so I'm just going to start harvesting that a little bit at a time. My oregano went absolutely crazy, so that I'm going to cut back. Hopefully it'll come back next year, but I need to dry that. And my parsley is doing really well right here. And I have a little bit of rosemary right there. But I see I'm getting some webs in here, so I'm going to have to spray that. This rosemary plant did beautifully. I have some more parsley over here, and of course the chives back there. Over here I have another volunteer tomato, which is doing well, but again, I don't know how much is going to turn red. And this thing, you would think I had planted it because it came up right in the middle of the pot, but I did not. It just grew by itself. So, yep, lots of work to do. And over here, this pot is doing fairly well. I had some morning glories here, but they didn't do well. I don't think they get enough sun, so I won't be planting those again next year. And my little pots with the Coleus, those did well. My Dahlias are huge. I planted those late though because they were on sale. I'm going to try and save those and dig those up for next year. Real pretty yellow color. So that's a beautiful flower. And over there I have some more tomatoes, and those aren't ripe either. So let me take you over to my garden. I still have these ferns that need to go in a bigger pot. Hopefully those will come back next year. All I can do is try. But so anyway, I'm running out of space on my card. I still have some herbs here that I need to cut down. I have lemon verbena. I have some borage here that came back from last year. I have, I forget what that is, but more parsley. And over here, this one didn't get a whole lot of tomatoes. Their cherry tomatoes are there. And then this is my garden. It's doing well. It's got chard and kale. My tomatoes just did not do well this year. I've gotten some cucumbers. And now I see I'm getting some peppers finally, but it's kind of late in the season. I think those are yellow banana peppers. Kind of late in the season for them to do much. So anyway, that's my garden, and I need to switch my cards over. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. My SD card is full, so now I got to figure out how to put a new one in my cell phone. Yeah, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the garden tour. I want to welcome all my new subscribers. I've gotten quite a few new ones, and I welcome you to our lovely community here. Really, really nice people. And we love the comments. We like when you share your ideas with each other. Feel free to talk with each other. If you have a channel where you have a video you'd like to share with us, feel free to leave that in the comments below too. Please, no advertising, just, if you have a legitimate channel that you'd like to share, that would be great. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.